Going to transform my down class, and I will have just going to copy this. Here I will have transform, and I'll have one here for WebKit. So I'll say WebKit like that, transform, and what I'm going to do, it will be a rotation. So I'm gonna rotate to 108 degrees, so that if it was facing up, it will face down, and vice versa. So I'm going to copy this, put here, and put it here again, and this one will be transform, of course, because I'm now transforming, and I'll put these ones to here again. I'm gonna save that like that. Then I'll save, I'll go back to my browser. I'll try to click on one of them. It's still not changing, so I think I have a typo somewhere. And I think I tried to bring it in the console. And it's telling me the created is not defined. This one, of course, we don't have created. We have the column class. This one here. Let's save that. Go back to the browser. Try to reload. I'll go back to the console. When it's loaded, I'll try to click on it again. Still seems something is missing. So let's go ahead and see what is missing. So I'll just check my classes, sorting class, and this one should be column class, and same as this one should be column class. Column class. Let's go to check from the partials. Be column. This one should be column class. Column class. So it should be class. I have a typo there. So column class. So let me just see if have these two should be column class. I'll save that. Go back to my browser. Try to reload. Bring it again. No. What I'm going to do, I'll check. Let's check our CSS classes if they are working correctly. And this is rotate. It should be rotate. This one should be also rotate. I'm gonna save that. Go back. I'll reload the page. I have now this one. Let's try it out. And it's now rotating to 180 degrees. And if now it's sorting from A going to Z, and if I click again, it now sorting from Z going to A again. So it means that it's now currently sorting correctly. I can sort by email. If I click on email, you can see it sorting. If I click on it again, it changes direction, switches direction from the ascending to descending. Again, if I click on this one, same thing happens. It faces down, it faces up, and it sorts the data according to whatever column that we click on. for our sorting. So that is sorting. Now let's work on search. For example, if I search something, you see it's not responding. I'm going to have a search. So I'll go back to my list here, and what I'm going to check for is the search. So I'm going back to my Jquery, and here I'm going to listen for the change of the key up on the search input here. So I'm going to say if I have key up event on my search input, so on, and I'll say key up function. Then from here I'm going to have a reaction. So whenever I get an action of key up on this input, then I'm going to do something, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call this method, this function again. It will update my search input, and it will send that back to the backend, and it will come in with whatever we write. So for example, I'm just going to say J. Let me try J. It's coming back with J. I'm going to say Gerard. So Gerard, this guy, and it's going to come back with Gerard, and that is what we're looking for. So our search now is implemented, and we can set and we can remove this. When we reset this search, it goes back to our original data that we had. We can decide to bring in 100 rows of my data, and it will list you until to 100. If we go back to 10, of course it's going to fetch only 10 records. Now our search is working. We can go ahead and implement our navigation or our pagination. Currently you can see it's not working. We can go ahead and implement the pagination. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to target the clicks on my links, on the pagination links, and the way I'm going to do that, I'll copy this delegation, I'll put it right here, and I'll close this and close this like that. And now I'm going to listen on a click of a paginated link. So the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to say if I here click on the pagination, and it's followed immediately by a link like that, I'll know there's a link that has been clicked on. And so what I'm going to do, I'll just say I don't want to move, so I'll say prevent default. I don't want to do anything. I want just to be there so that I can act upon whatever is happening. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define my URL. So I'm going to say let the URL be the same as the guy who is clicking, and we're going to take the attribute href. So this is going to be the attribute, and the attribute that we are looking for is href, this attribute, and this will be our link. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to call my method here, or my function here, and I'm going to pass in the URL like that. I'm just going to pass in the URL like that. That will have my link. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to push the history. So I'm going to say window dot history, and I'll put the state to my URL that I have currently. So I'm going to say this, and then I'll pass the URL like that. And one thing I want to do, I want to get the current URL and put it in a input. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say I'm going to have an input, and type will be hidden. I don't want it to be seen because I'm not going to use it on the form, and I'm going to have an ID on it, and I'll say current URL. I'll put the current URL every time someone clicks on a link. So the initial value, it's gonna be our initial value of our this one of our route. So this is going to be the initial value like that. And whenever a link is clicked, I'm going to update that input. And here I'm just going to say, now I will update it here. For example, I'll say find an input with the ID and put value to be the URL, this one, like that. So in a place like the other function that we call this one, instead of passing the default, I'm going to pass whatever is provided by this input here, like that, so that I will always get the updated URL every time someone clicks on the paginated links. So that way I can go back and try to test my data. So I'll click on this to refresh my page, and since we have Jquery or Jquery problem, it's not saying which part, so let's just, it's saying unexpected identifier. So URL is equals to that, which is correct. Is this, and let's check with the, we only have written this one and the other one, and yeah, here it's the problem. We did not put the assignment on our URL. So let's save that, go back here, reload the page, and now we have our data. Let's try to click there, access your before initialization. So it's saying URL, yeah, and this is a problem because what we are doing here, we only need to get the value. Don't want to pass value to the input, but get value, and that's how we can get the value of the input. So let's try that again. It sorts and it sorts back. We are in page 1. I want to go to page 2. I'm now in page 2, as you can see. I want to go to page 120, and you can see now page 120 is selected. If I go to page 111, I'm in page 111. If I say I need 50 rows per page, I get 50. If I say I need from 24th, we don't have data for that. But if I say I need from 1st, I get data for that. So that's how we can create data tables using jQuery, CSS, and a Laravel, of course. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to update my CSS just a little bit to change some of the colors and some of the like the table rows and the color of my inputs and the color of my highlights, my summary. And this one we should have employee selected because we already inside the employees page. So let's go ahead and make this one selected. And so we can do that, we can just come here, and when the DOM loads, we can go ahead and find this class called employee menu, and we can just add a class called active. And whenever the employees page loads, we have the menu employees, and we make it active. So let's see if we have that. So we do not have the class having the employee. What we can do, I'm just going to copy the employee menu. I'll go back to my master. Of course, you can separate your sidebar, navbar, and master. You can just get them, scope each one of them outside, and there will be, you can create inside the layouts, you can create your sidebar, your navbar here, and then just include them inside the master. That would do for a bigger project. That it's actually what you want to do, but for a small project like this, it's okay to have them there. So I just added this class employee menu on the employee site menu, this one. So I'm going to reload the page, and when the page reloads, we're going to have the employees menu selected. Another thing I want to do is to have a loading animation. For example, if we request for a data, we need to show the user that something is happening and our application is loading data from the backend. So let's go ahead and do that. So the way I'm going to do that, here inside the body, inside the master, before here where I'm reading my content, after the content, I'm going to have a class. So the class, I'm going to have this class called spinner. It's from bootstrap, and it's going to be a border spinner like that, and it's going to have text primary, and then I'll add my custom class. I would call it general spinner like that, and I'll have status. I'll have data property, and we'll say status will be raw, as well as the row itself, data row, and the row itself will be let me just say status. I can even remove this one. I don't need that one. And what I can do here, I'm going to have a span like that, and class of this span will be visually hidden like that. And what I want to do inside my main section page, this one, I'm going to have I will have a position, and it's going to be relative, so we can simply put the children of this main page to relatively to this page. The position of the children, actually I already have it, so I don't need it anymore. I already have it here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to have dot general spinner, the class that we just created. And here what I'm going to have, I'm going to say position, and I will be absolute, and I'll have a top on top. I'll have the 5%, and then on the left I'll have 50%. You can choose whatever combination of arrangement that fits your situation. So I have the index, I have it at 100 so that it's on top of every element on my page. I like that. Going to copy this one such that I can go down to, okay, I'll just copy the class itself without the dot. General spinner, I'm sure I called it something, which is here. General spinner. Yeah, I have to, that's okay. So like that, if I reload the page here, let's just reload the page firstly. Now I have a spinner here. You can see it's loading, but what I'm going to have to do, I'll have a class called dnone or display none. I'll carry ahead this class, and I'll take it to the list, this one. I'll go to my function when I am calling my function right here, and what I can do after, now I'm almost sending my, after defining my variables here, I'll say I'll find this class, I'll find an element with this class, and then I'll remove class, the none that it's displayed, I'm going to copy it. I'll also remove it after I get a response, after I print the response to my table, and I'll also remove it when I get an error like that. So I'm going to save that, go back to the browser, and seems not to work, dnone, and I'll go to master here, dnone, display none. Going to save and refresh this. And what I'll try to do, I'll go back to my master, and here this position absolute, I'll remove it just for a moment. I'll go back here, try to reload, it's not there, but maybe because we cannot see it, let me just, okay, I'll go here, I'll find it, I'll say status, style, position, position absolute. Go ahead and reload. Still have that. I try to, okay, I'll go back again. I'll go back to my list, and I'll start from here. We remove the class dnone. Here we remove the class dnone. Of course, this one we should have add class, not remove class. So we're going to put the class back so that it appears after we load. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the class back. We remove it so it shows after we get the response, we add it back, and even if we get error, we add it back. So let's see. Yeah, when it's loading, when we are fetching data, now we have the loading animation. When we are done loading the data, the animation it's appeared. Same if we click on end links, or if we update 100, it shows that it's loading some data from the backend, and when it is done, it then stops loading. So that we've completed the loading animation, what I'm going to do, just going to update some of the inputs. For example, I'll have these inputs color when we focus on them to change, and also I'm going to update some of these rows. So that will be CSS. So let's go back and do that. So I'll go to my master page here, and inside CSS I'll come here, and for example I have my success here. This success, I'm gonna mutate it and say my new success, I want to be my primary color, like that. Going to save that. I'm going to go back to here. When I refresh, then I change my primary color, which is success, to this color, like that. And also what I'm going to do next, I will have a class here. The default text success from bootstrap, I'm going to take it and I'm going to have a color to this color here. So I'll mutate it to this color around here, like that. I'll go back, I tried to reload, and now you see it changes my success color to still my purple color. Now you see I have these icons are changed to purple. Right, now another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to have to change my form control. I will have a border, so border will be 1 pixels, then solid, and it will have primary color. This border will have primary color. Could go back and try to see, and now we have our input and form controls with primary color borders. Another thing I want to update is the checkbox. So for example, if I check this one, it's checking with blue. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say form check input. I will have a background color, and I will target the checked one. I'll have the background color to be primary as well, so it's going to be this one, and I'll say important, like that. I'll come here, reload, and I'll check one of them, and now they changed. I'm also going to remove the border, I don't want it, so I'll come here and say border none. I'll emphasize that by saying it's important that I don't want any border. I'll reload, I'll check, and now I don't have the border. Now after that, another thing I'm going to change is the page links. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say pagination. Let me tag the pagination. So pagination, I would say box shadow. I'll give it some box shadow, and this box shadow will be 0, then 4 pixels, then 0 again. No, before 0 I have 24 pixels, then 0, then I have a RGB, and the red will be the 4, then my green will be 41, and the blue will be a ratio of 47 over 10%, like that. And I'll have some border radius on my pagination. So I have border radius of let's say 15 pixel would do. Important. Like that. And something else also I'm going to target is card. And card will just have a box shadow, same as my pagination. I'm going to save that. I'm going to reload this. And now I have a shadow on my card and also a shadow on my pagination, like that. So something else I want to change is the table. So I'll go back here, and before that I'll change my form control. I'll have some border radius. I'll say just 5 pixels, and I should emphasize that and say it's important to have 5 pixels border radius on each corner of my form control. And now I'm going to target the table. I'll say table, and I'll say border collapse. I want it to be separate. It should be important as well. And I need border size, border spacing. I'm just going to give it 0, then 5 pixels. Important as well. I'm gonna save that. I'll go back here and try to reload. Okay, I'll come back here. I'll say T body, then TD, then TH, then T head, then TR. I'll say border color that should be inherited. Then something else I'm going to change on this one will be border style, and it will be none, and I should emphasize that. And something else I want to change for this is okay, for now I'll just leave it the point. So here something else I want to change will be let me say TD and TH. Something I will change is box shadow, and box shadow just give it same as these others. Say this one here. I'll say padding. I'll give it 15 pixels, which should be important. And something else, cursor point is that when we hover over it, we have our cursor is pointing. And that is our table. So you can create your own custom CSS. I have mine being bolded like this. You can create your own, and you can try to just play around and see what you can add, what you can remove, and as long as you can be able to create the data tables, then the other things I'm pretty sure you can handle them. So we're going to stop here. This will be the end of our tutorial on how to create data tables using Laravel, Bootstrap 5, Jquery, and CSS. You can try to remove to bring back the borders of mine. I've just removed them. You can just try to remove to bring them back according to the way you want them to be. You can design your own, but for me, I would prefer them to be out like that. And when I can hover now on my table. So thank you very much for having me on this one. I'll see you in the next tutorial where we'll be creating something very interesting. Thank you very much. Goodbye and see you in another tutorial.